If you want to find the summit of the prophet Elijah's career, you have to look here, at Mount Carmel. He has just won a miraculous, seemingly impossible victory over the prophets of Baal. Looking out across the Jezreel Valley, you can almost trace his path. Fueled by the pure adrenaline of that victory, Elijah actually outran a royal chariot across these 20 miles. He expects this miracle to trigger a national spiritual revival. Instead, Queen Jezebel responds to the news by swearing an oath to kill him. That threat fractures his faith. Elijah panics and runs for his life, fleeing all the way south through the territories of Israel and Judah. He leaves his servant behind and retreats deep into this harsh, isolating wilderness. He hits a psychological rock bottom, collapsing under a lone broom bush, feeling entirely worthless. He begs God to just let him die. This chart visualizes exactly what's happening. You have a massive physiological spike, the Mount Carmel adrenaline high. But a spike like that mandates a steep, drastic plunge right into a burnout void. Human beings simply aren't built to live on permanent emotional highs. When the adrenaline finally vanishes, the resulting crash leaves us completely empty, questioning our very purpose. You might expect God to respond to this collapse with a stern lecture or divine punishment. Instead, an angel gives Elijah a shockingly ordinary prescription: go to sleep. And this is what God provides for the exhausted prophet: a simple jar of water and flatbread baked right over the hot coals. The first step to recovering from severe spiritual and emotional burnout is often just taking care of your basic physiological needs. Strengthened by that food and rest, Elijah embarks on a grueling 40-day, 40-night journey backward. He travels all the way back to these craggy peaks, Mount Horeb or Sinai. This is the ancient birthplace of the Israelite covenant. To find a way forward, Elijah physically and mentally retreats past his current enemies and circumstances. He has to return to the bedrock foundation of his faith. Hiding inside a cave on the mountain, Elijah is entirely trapped in a poor me syndrome. He complains to God that he is the only one left alive who is still faithful. God doesn't argue with him. Instead, he offers a sensory demonstration. First, a violent, mountain-shattering wind tears through the gorge. Then, the ground violently shakes and splits apart in a massive earthquake. A raging fire follows. But God is in none of these cataclysms. Finally, God arrives in a way the literal Hebrew translates as the sound of nothing, total, unmoving stillness. We expect the divine to be wrapped up in adrenaline-fueled miracles or massive earthly events. God subverts that expectation, relating to humanity through the quiet, ordinary stillness of his word. Out of that silence, God gives Elijah a highly specific new mission. He tells him to leave the cave and travel to this bustling desert city of Damascus to anoint 2 new kings. But the most critical part of this new assignment is that he must find a man named Elisha and anoint him as his successor. God then counters Elijah's deep sense of isolation with a simple fact: there are actually 7,000 others in Israel who have not bowed to the false god Baal. Elijah's crippling isolation was an illusion. He doesn't have to carry the fate of the nation alone. This image shows how that plays out practically. Elijah finds Elisha working an expansive field, managing 12 teams of oxen. Elijah approaches Elisha and throws his own cloak over the younger man's shoulders. This garment represents Elijah's authority and his office as a prophet. By handing it over, he is training his own replacement, a quiet act of self-denial that allows his successor to eventually fulfill the work he started. Surviving burnout isn't achieved by clinging to past miracles or hiding in spiritual isolation. It happens by accepting practical rest, embracing ordinary tasks, and inviting others alongside you.